How do you love yourself? Words, gifts. You can't give yourself affection. Well, yeah, you can. You remember that thing we used to do as kids where you go, actually, you can give yourself affection. I think, you know how I have this habit? I have this habit of always high-fiving myself in the mirror. I send myself into the day, go get a Mel. That's a form of affection. You can show yourself love through words and through gifts and through actions, because love is a verb. And that's the most important thing to think about when you think about practicing self-love and developing habits around self-love. So love is a verb. What are the actions and habits and thoughts that you would have when you think about how you treat or speak to somebody you love? Self-love is about giving yourself all the things that you freely give to the people that you love. And what's so awesome is that when you learn and start practicing how to love yourself, it expands your capacity to love other people more deeply, because you can't give other people something that you don't give to yourself. And I know you're like, whoa, I love other people, but you don't truly love other people if you can't love yourself, because there's a part of you that doesn't feel worthy. And so you got to practice this stuff. And it's everything. Here are some ways that I practice. First of all, if someone you loved were struggling, what would you recommend they do in terms of how they take care of themselves? First of all, you got to get a good night's sleep. That's a form of self-love. Put good food in your body. That's a form of self-love. Take time for yourself every day. That's a form of self-love. Moving your body and exercising. That's a form of self-love. The biggest form of self-love for me is not criticizing myself. So when I catch myself criticizing myself, trashing myself, beating myself up, I kick that noise and garbage out of my head, and I replace it with something that I would say to somebody that I love. Instead of focusing on the things that are going wrong, I kick that thought out of my mind and I focus on the things that are going right. Another form of self-love for me is I'm constantly soothing and reassuring myself. Mel, hey, I know it's challenging right now, but this is preparing you for something. Mel, I know you're nervous, but you got this. You can face this. And notice I'm using my name, Mel. Study after study has come out that when you talk to yourself and use your own name, it has a much deeper impact on you. You have the experience of almost having someone else be saying it. It lands deeper. And it's also through gifts. I also give myself the gift of buying flowers every time I go to the grocery store. I started doing that a few years ago. I love flowers. I was always waiting for somebody else to give them to me. And it dawned on me, why the hell don't I just buy them for myself? And so I do. And you'd be surprised. $3, $4, $5, you can always find a small little bouquet at a grocery store. Stick it on your desk. It's a reminder that you love yourself. Remember, love is a verb. Just treat yourself how you would treat somebody that you love, and practice it, and you'll get better and better at it. If you listen to people that tell you you're a mom, you don't know anything, you're a woman, you don't know anything about finance, then you're at fault. I don't listen to anybody who I wouldn't trade places with.
So
Let me say that again. I don't listen to anybody that gives me advice. Do you want to be him? Do you want to be your husband?
No.
Okay. Then let him have his opinion. Thank you. I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
And you could also say this. Instead of pointing out all the things that could go wrong, as my husband, it would be really amazing if you would help me think of all the things that could go right. But this is something you want to pursue, and what you have to be able to do is to communicate with your spouse. This is something that matters to me, and you either or you get on board and you help me figure out how to start doing this. And every time your husband says something negative, you tell him that's not allowed. See, we train people how to treat us. If you listen to that garbage, he's going to think that you actually want to hear it. He's going to be trained by you that I'm allowed to talk to you that way. No, he is not. In a project that matters to you, you have the right and you must say, Do not point out the negative. From you, I need you to point out the positive. I've been married for 21 years. How I behaved in my year 1 through 5, totally different than how Chris and I behaved 21 years later. Your marriage grows. The way you speak to each other changes. You have to mature. You have to demand that as you're growing as a woman and a human being, that your spouse.
Consider you as so greedy, or you
No.
trying to be some bitch or something?
No. No.
It's like, oh my God, you trying to be something or something? You know?
Aren't you something?
But it's okay for you to be something.
Of course it is.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I just not there in that way yet. So
It's up to you.
okay, so
Your husband is not going to bolster your self-confidence. You have to do it.
okay, so we just
You have to draw a line in the sand about how you are willing to be spoken to. You have to make a commitment to yourself that you're going to do this over the next 5 years.
Yes.
And you have to start looking at the positive, and every single day you got to push yourself to do one small thing forward.
Of that.
You start doing that in 1 month, you'll feel totally different. Your husband's going to kill me. This is a great story about a bunch of topics. It's a story about confidence. It's a story about being comfortable in your own skin. It's a story about being yourself, no matter where you are or what you're doing. And it's a story about the power of your unique self-expression. And your unique self-expression comes out and is amplified when you feel comfortable in your own skin. I got into the speaking business, 6 or 7 years ago. I had a TEDx talk that went crazy viral. That's what started the speaking business. And when I first got into the speaking business, I was really intimidated because I was new to it. And I wanted to do a very good job and I wanted to fit in. So I looked around at what all the top people in the industry of motivational speaking and speaking on the corporate circuit were doing. And I noticed that all the women were dressed in heels, wearing pencil skirts or beautiful dresses, the kind of thing that you might see a news anchor wearing, like a nice dress, heels. So I just wore what everybody else was wearing. Didn't even occur to me to wear something else because here I am trying to break into a new industry. So I look at everybody at the top, I copy what they're doing, and I am not comfortable in high heels. Yes, if my husband Chris and I are going out on date night, I can rock them like the best of them. But walking through a convention center in them, standing on a stage for an hour in a pair of heels while you're trying to hold in your stomach because you're being broadcast on a big screen and you're wearing a dress, like it was the least comfortable outfit I could possibly wear, very self-conscious in it. I'm not that graceful in a pair of heels, so I sort of like poof, poof, poof on a stage. But that's what I did for the first couple of years. So I was in Miami. This must have been probably 5 years ago. I was in Miami and I had just gotten off stage, take off the heels, take off the dress, put on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. I got like an hour to kill before I have to leave for the airport. I'm going to fly to Vegas because I've got a speech in Vegas the next morning. So I'm walking down Collins Ave in South Beach in Miami. And I walk past this store. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore. I loved this store. And there in the window were the most amazing high-top sneakers I had ever seen in my entire life. I was like a moth to the flame. Let me show you these bad boys because these are the originals. This right here, notice the gold shimmery sparkle and the confident blaze orange. I didn't own anything like this. I'd never seen anything like this. I immediately thought, whoa, this I bet is what like a Justin Bieber kind of wears. I mean, these are insanely cool. I went inside and they were pretty expensive. I'd never spent that kind of money. I wasn't a sneakerhead yet. But I thought, hey, I spend that kind of money on a pair of nice heels, so why not treat myself to a pair of sneakers, okay? So I get back to the hotel, I pack up, I hop the flight, I get to Vegas. Now, I wake up the next morning and I have a tech check, which is where you rehearse the speech and go through like all the technology rehearsals before the event starting. My tech check is at 7:30, the doors to the event open at 8, and I'm on stage at 8:30. And I had a red dress, my heels, or so I thought. So I crack open, that's what I was planning on wearing. I crack open the suitcase, there are no heels. I have left the heels in the hotel room back in Miami. All I have are the Birkenstocks that I wore on the plane and I wore out in Vegas last night. and my new Justin Bieber high top sneakers. And I have exactly 15 minutes to get to the tech rehearsal, and nothing else is open. So, Birkenstocks, Justin Bieber, I think we'll go with the Justin Bieber sparkly high tops. I slapped those puppies on. I walked from my hotel room all the way through the casino floor, past all the restaurants and the shops, to the convention center, which you know is like a 2-mile walk. I was so happy to be not only in my red dress, but more importantly, in my Justin Bieber sneakers, because it was super comfortable to walk there that way. I get to the backstage area, and for the first time in 2 years, something happened. And let me tell you what happened. One of the guys that was on the production crew turned and goes, "Ah, cool sneakers." That was like the first time somebody in production had really acknowledged me for something other than the job in 2 years. So I was like, huh. And as I started walking toward the backstage area, everybody I passed, "Cool kicks. Oh, those are cool. Oh, those are cool." And I'm like, this is wild. Nobody's ever complimented on like, this is not, people are. And so I did the tech rehearsal, and then this was the moment of truth. When I walked out onto that stage, it was at the MGM Arena, and there were like 5,000 real estate agents in the audience. I was there to deliver a speech for RE/MAX. It was the first time I'd ever walked on a stage where I actually felt like myself. It was also the first time that I felt the audience kind of lean forward and go, "Oh, she seems kind of cool." But when you walk onto a stage in heels and a dress, you're like the authority, and you're on a stage and you're talking at people. There's something about walking onto a stage or walking through life and having something fun that you're wearing that makes you relatable and interesting and real. And from that moment forward, I have never not worn sparkly sneakers for work. I wore them every day on my daytime talk show. I'm embarrassed to tell you that I probably have 20 pairs of these. I love, this is my favorite, these are my favorite, well, these are my favorite because these are the originals, but I would say these are my second favorite because I like the low top and I love the blue. I love these, which have a big silver kind of thing. These are super comfortable. And I've got a bunch of these, and these did not even come with sparkles. So I literally bought Swarovski crystals or whatever the hell they're called and got a glue gun out and put them on myself. If you're looking for sparkly sneakers, there's all kinds of them out there these days. It's the coolest thing in the world. Bedazzled sneakers are a thing. Whether you go to DSW or Nordstrom's or Zappos or anywhere, you can find them. And so the moral of the story, the secret to confidence is being comfortable in your own skin. And the secret to being relatable and likable is being yourself and being comfortable in your own skin. And so whatever it is that gives you a little flair, whether it's a little pin on your jacket or a little flower in your pocket or sparkles on your sneakers or cool specs, you gotta find the confidence to bring that to the way that you go through life, because there's something unique about you. And when you settle into what is really an expression for you, you feel comfortable in your own skin. And that's the greatest feeling in the world. I think it wasn't until I discovered the high five habit that I profoundly realized how much self-hatred I was dealing with. And
despite everything else, yeah.
Well, and this I think is a really big piece of the power of this, especially if you're somebody who's achievement oriented. And everybody that listens to this podcast feels a big calling and wants to do more in the world and make a bigger difference and a bigger impact. There's a real danger that's very common, Jay, that you start to marry, or you've always married, being worthy or lovable with what you're doing and what you're achieving. And it works both ways in terms of if you don't have the number on the scale, it means, again, the dust on the mirror. You are not worthy because you haven't achieved it yet. And for those of us that have achieved some things that we've set out to do, what happens is you find that as soon as you achieve the thing, you actually need to do something else.
Bigger,
better, because it was a thing that you achieved that made you lovable or worthy. And the real trick, and this is everything, is being able to know and feel in your bones that you are lovable and worthy just because you're breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
And so, no, I never celebrated because I think I was so married to this idea that unless I'm doing or winning or achieving, and it happens so subtly when you're little because you start to get so much positive praise when you get a good grade or when you do something at school or when you make your mates laugh or whatever it might be, that you start to go, oh, that's what love feels like. Oh, if I do that. And so you outsource love and validation to outside things. And I'm here to tell you, we all got to learn how to bring it back home and anchor the validation and love that you need where you are right now every single day. And it's only in discovering this that I had to confront just how much I was beating myself up, just how much I was tearing myself down, and how I was chasing these things because what I actually wanted was to feel loved.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ask yourself, okay, great, you want to make $1 million. Why? There's a feeling that you're looking for from that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can start to work on bringing that feeling into your day-to-day life for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
it changes the way that you go about achieving things. Like I didn't even enjoy half the stuff that I did because I was constantly maniacally focused on the things that weren't working rather than the 100 things that were. And the same is true with everybody's day. You don't even know the number of amazing things you do every day. You feed the dog, high five. You got the kids to school, high five. You read 10 pages of the book, high five. You said a nice thing to a stranger, high five. You got something done at work, high five. You got through 70% of your inbox, high five. Instead, you focus and ruminate on the one thing you didn't get to, and then you use that as evidence, again, dust on the mirror, to see a human being that's not measuring up and never will, and all that stuff their stupid fourth grade teacher said to you must be true, dust on the mirror. No. You need to interrupt this. If you could always just look in the mirror and see a human being that's trying and that's worthy of a high five, and a human being that failed and okay, we're going to brush it off and that's worthy of a high five. Somebody who is running the marathon of life that you're going to celebrate every step of the way. And, you know, I also want to take this and flip this in the opposite because I think this is where people really get mucked up. This happened in my own marriage. And it's only a recent discovery between Chris and I. And that is that we had the opposite thing happen, Jay. So when Chris and his best friend went into the restaurant business and they poured 7 years into it and gave it their go, and at the end of the day, they sold it, you know, for pennies on the dollar to the next investor, and they did not return the profit that they had hoped they would return to their investors. Now, what was interesting about watching this all go down is that our best friend, who was Chris's partner, was able to leave the experience and go, okay, entrepreneurship. I'm so proud of us. We put in so much work. We built something amazing. We had an incredible brand. We were incredible leaders. Da, 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 da. Did we return the profit? No. But that's not everything in life.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved on. My husband could not. He literally said, because I didn't achieve, because I failed, I am a failure who is not worthy of love. And for 7 years, he has walked into a bathroom with the dust that has said, I am a failure. And so as you have been looking for, why doesn't she love me more? Somebody who fails goes, how can you still love me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's only until, it doesn't matter how much I love the guy, it doesn't matter how much I build him up. And, you know, I'm so proud of everything that he's done and all the stuff that Chris is doing. And he's had a massive breakthrough in this. And part of it is through the high five habit because of the resistance. But I can't do that. Look at the failure that I've been.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't love yourself, you won't allow somebody else to love you.
Yeah.
And so when you can separate what you're doing from your soul and your intention and your spirit and your humanity, and you can stand with yourself every morning, and that high five doesn't necessarily become celebration, it becomes acceptance, and it becomes compassion, and it becomes acknowledgement, and then it becomes slowly celebration and momentum and forward energy that you need when life drags you down.
Yeah.
And so it's really a profound point you just made, that it's only when you love yourself for breathing, for living, for being, just as you are, that level of acceptance that we so want from everybody else. And I'm telling you, you have an opportunity to do it for yourself by keeping your promises, by being kind to yourself, by standing before yourself and seeing a human being who needs you and who loves you and who's going to be with you your whole life. Hi, how are you? I saw you in the back right.
I'm sorry I had to run out.
Whatever.
No, it was too powerful. I did not have like enough napkins. It was, no, it was like deep because my mom died of cancer. So when you mentioned the woman with the,
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
I can't be here.
And then you literally hit the nail on the head because a lot of times I don't know. So my company's new. We're a woman-owned small business, and being in this space with all these people, like these millionaires and these CEOs, these executives, and I'm a woman from Haiti, and then we're just trying to make it, and then I kind of sort of made it. So like yesterday, it's amazing, but every single day I wake up and I'm like in fear. I'm like, am I good enough? Am I gonna do it? Am I gonna do it? Am I going to become a woman-owned small business? It took forever, 8 months to be exact.
Okay, it only took you 8 months?
That's a long process for woman-owned small business. It's just to get that certification.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, even the way you're telling me the story, you're not giving yourself enough credit.
And that's when I was like, oh my God, I need to be nicer to myself.
Nicer? Okay, your business needs it. You want to make more money? You want to have more fun in business?
Yeah.
You want to go after even bigger fish than the 36 states that you just landed? You have to start treating yourself better. You have to become your biggest cheerleader. You have to look in the mirror. Yes, criticism will not grow your business.
Yes. But it is.
It will not grow your business. It's making your business harder. You want to be successful in business, you must be kind to yourself. You must cheer yourself. You must say, tell me something small that you did today.
I have 2 hours of sleep. And I made
Great.
every single client I wanted to meet.
Okay, so here's the thing. You had 2 hours of sleep, and you still met every single client. You deserve a high five. Okay, tell me something else you did today.
Thank you. Something else? I was crying a lot. So before I met my next client, I had to make sure I had my makeup redone.
Okay, so you had your makeup redone after you're crying in my session. High five. There you go. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't give yourself enough credit. You're focusing on the thing that's not working. You're beating yourself up. You will not reach empire status, and you deserve to build an empire. You are not some little girl from Haiti. You are a woman on a freaking mission who deserves support and celebration, and that begins with you and how you treat and see yourself.
Yeah, no, that's why the whole time I was like sobbing, and this man was like, it's gonna be okay. I was sobbing, and then when you like with the woman with the cancer, to this day, I never visited my mom's grave. 8 years.
When are you going? When are you going? When are you going? Okay.
Just like that, because like right now, I'm at a point in my life where like I have everything I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
But she's not there to see it.
Yes, she is.
But you get...
No. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Your mother is still here. Your mother sees you, and you need to go.
Oh,
see her.
I'm like not gonna cry, but I just got like my makeup done. Oh my God.
You need to go see her. She did a really good job, and you're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Honor her and honor yourself, and find the courage to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go see your mother and sit with her at her grave and tell her how amazing you are.
This is a realistic place, and like all these like men and
I don't give a shit about these men in suits. They don't either. Who cares? We're having a deeply spiritual conversation that will change the trajectory of your life.
No,
Stop running. Stop auditioning. You've arrived.
that's deep. Oh my God.
What did you just get?
I've arrived.
What does that mean to you?
I've kind of sort of made it. Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. Okay, I'm going to turn around. We're going to have a do-over. What does I've arrived mean to you?
I'm able to work from anywhere in the country and still make money and take care of my family.
Yes. You have made it. Not a kind of sort of have a on some days. No. I have made it. I want to hear you say it. Say it louder. I have made it. Do you believe that? You need the 5-second rule is going to help you take action. You need to start looking at the woman in the mirror and seeing the person. And seeing the person you're going to keep on high-fiving as she goes and gets even bigger and happier and more successful, because that's what you deserve. Will you go see your mom? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Will you go see your mom?
When I make $1 million.
So you're going to see your mom in 2022.
Yes.
Great.
I'm going to see my mom.
You're going to go see your mom in 2022. You see, Nina did the high five challenge with me, and she had a powerful breakthrough. This is what she wrote, everybody. I have been living with body dysmorphia for more than 20 years. After doing the high five habit for just 5 days, instead of hiding from my face, I'm finding myself grinning at me instead. Kathy said the high five habit is fundamentally changing how she sees herself. You see, this is what she writes. We have this pattern of seeing ourselves in the mirror and always looking at all the flaws. I notice my eyebrows are not aligned. My white hair is growing. Ugh. Why do I have a double chin now? My arms look flabby. I see so many things wrong with myself. And in the world where Zoom and video calls and Facebook Lives rule, it's not just the mirror that we have to live with. It is seeing ourselves on camera more times than we would want to. For me, Kathy writes, the habit of high-fiving myself in the mirror creates an affirmation, a physical act of celebrating myself. The act alone forces me to look at my face, my body in a different light, a brighter light, a kinder light, a more compassionate and joyful way. I found I cannot high-five myself and say bad things in the mirror. You know, that's true. You can't high-five yourself and think something or say something bad. It's neurologically impossible because of the programming associated with the high five that's already in your mind. This is why it's so powerful. We're unlocking neural associations that are already in your mind, everybody. You see, you deserve to be celebrated as you are right now. Not when you lose the weight. Not when you make more money. Not when you fall in love or get into graduate school. Because research shows when you learn how to love and accept yourself wherever you are right now, you will be better able to ride the ups and downs of your life. And by the way, accepting where you are right now is not about complacency, everybody. Accepting where you are and being kinder to yourself and treating yourself with a level of respect and self-worth is the secret to self-motivation. When you feel worthy, it's motivating. When you feel respected, it's inspiring. When you feel a sense of worthiness, you will feel worthy of bigger things in your life. You cannot not pound yourself into the ground and believe or feel motivated to change. It doesn't work that way based on the research. It's the opposite. This is why it's so hard. This is why you're struggling, everyone. Because you want these big things in your life and you deserve them. And you have goals and you have dreams and you have desires. But you stand in this present moment and you have all these hopes and dreams and desires for your life and for yourself. But what you do is you just punish yourself mentally. That's why you're not motivated. You have to learn how to be where you are right now, accept where you are, and know in your heart you still deserve to be treated with loving kindness and respect. And when you flip that switch in your brain, in your body, and in your spirit, you will be more motivated and inspired to walk toward the things that you deeply yearn for in life than you ever have before, because you will feel worthy of those things. It's so cool. You know, when you beat yourself up all day long, you're pounding yourself into the ground, and you're more vulnerable to feeling like you are being buried alive when life gets stressful. Everything starts to feel like a beatdown. But when you start to look at yourself in the mirror and accept yourself as you are right now and see a person who deserves celebration and support, you're going to tap back into that natural motivation, celebration, and resilience that you were born with. Because you weren't always like this. We are on page 53 right here, everybody. This is one of my favorite parts of the book. Page 53 in chapter 4, and I'm going to read it to you right now. I'm Mel Robbins, and we're reading from chapter 4, page 53 of my instant best-selling book that is changing people's lives. It's called The High Five Habit. Here we go. You ready? Everything I'm about to teach you is already in you. That's the coolest thing about the High Five Habit. We're tapping stuff that's in you. Self-love is your birthright. As a baby, you loved the very sight of yourself. You'd crawl up to a mirror and you wouldn't just high five yourself. You know what you used to do? You used to press your face against your reflection and smile and laugh and love on yourself in one wet, sloppy, open mouth kiss. And there is so much about you to celebrate. Let's start with how unique and special you are. Your DNA sequence, your fingerprints, your voice, the patterns of your iris, every one of these things is entirely unique and yours alone. How you see the world, the way you laugh, the things that you've experienced, the way that you love, it all comes down together to create something magical. You are the only you that will ever exist. Each one of your distinctive gifts and talents is a phenomenon because they are unique to you. And you need to celebrate that shit. And you know what? You are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for. Resilience is hardwired into your DNA. I mean, think about when you learned to crawl as a baby. You didn't try once and give up. You didn't lay on the floor and gaze morosely at the ceiling and say, well, I guess this is my life. It's time to throw in the towel. I'm never going to learn to crawl. I think I'll just sit here on this spot on the rug in my diapers and stare at the ceiling. No, you tried again and again because you didn't have words. So you couldn't tell yourself some sad story about how you just can't do it and you're not good enough or smart enough or strong enough. You know what you did? You kept trying. And eventually you pulled yourself across that floor. You're also naturally intelligent. You don't give yourself enough credit for this. By simply watching the people around you as a baby, you figured out how to coo and smile and crawl and scooch and eventually walk. And it didn't matter that you fell an average of 17 times an hour while you were learning to walk. You just kept trying. And that tenacity is still in you. And here's something else, everybody. Celebration is part of your DNA too. As a kid, every time you succeeded at something thrilling and new, you'd laugh and screech and raise your arms up above your head. If the music would play, you'd shake your booty and wiggle and jump around. You are perfectly designed to feel loved, resilient, joyous, and celebrated. That's why a stranger's high five feels so damn good. A high five strikes deep down to the core. It hits the you of you. And it reminds you of something you've forgotten, who you really are and how you're meant to feel.
Last one.
Self-worth. I gave myself a 9 because, I've done the work. One of the reasons why I think what we talk about really resonates with you is that it's real. I didn't read this in some book, and now I'm curating it for you. This is all stuff that we've tried, that has been road tested, that has been earned through the ups and downs of life. And I also offer up everything that I say to you, not as a mandate, even though sometimes I'm incredibly passionate about what I'm saying, But I offer it up as something for you to consider, because at the end of the day, it's your life. And you get to choose how you want to live it. You get to choose whether or not you're going to suffer through it. You get to choose whether or not you're going to be happy through it. You get to choose whether or not you're going to continue to live with the stories from your past, or whether or not you're going to update them and change for the better. Because you're the one that will reap the benefits or suffer the consequences. And so any passion comes from the fact that I used to be a miserable person. I used to hate myself. I used to destroy relationships because of my own self-loathing. And I still have some work to do. You know, I was talking to Tara, a very good friend of ours who is also my favorite yoga instructor. And she was talking today about how she just felt really sad. And I was saying to her, I can relate to that, because while I'm very fulfilled, I feel disconnected. And I still have parts of my life where I don't like myself. And I think that's normal. And there are parts of my life where I still have armor up. And this is the year, even though I've spent a decade really digging deep and curing my anxiety and identifying the limiting beliefs that I have, and trying to be deliberate about updating the story that I have, that I tell myself about myself, and that I don't deserve it, that nobody likes me, that I'm not doing a good job, that at some point this is all going to disappear, that, you know, I don't matter. All those just crappy things that you say to yourself. And so I've done a lot of work. And so while my self-worth is at a 9, I'm very proud of the work, I still have a lot of work to do. And so this is going to be a year where I go deeper. And what does that mean? I don't know yet. It probably means that I think I'd like to try to find a therapist. I think it'd be really cool, especially as I'm taking on all these things that are more confronting. It means that I want to do more listening. I'm going to do a lot of talking, but a little less talking and a little more listening. I want to consume more content instead of being focused on creating it. That's been a big missing for me is, you know, I stand up on a lot of stages and speak. I'd like to sit in an audience and listen here and there, and be more deliberate about my own development, because there's still a lot that I got to learn. And as we take on new challenges in this company, and again, what direction does life go in? Forward. And as life goes forward, and as our business goes forward, and as opportunities come and they go, and as some things are successful and some things are a disaster, it's going to require me to go deeper. And so that's what I'm going to be deliberate about. So my body, micro exercise. My work is about a digital focus. My money is about socking money away personally, and about also diversifying income streams business-wise. My love life is being more deliberate. So a date a week with Chris. He has the flu right now, so I'm not going near him. It's not going to happen today. Friendships, being a better friend, and my self-worth going deeper. Does your book talk about how to get to a place of self-love? Deanna Drish's, that's all that the book is about. Because when you love and respect yourself, you will feel empowered to go after anything in your life. When you love and respect yourself, you will be able to ride the lows and know that there are better days coming. When you love and respect yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think about you. Yeah, it stings when somebody doesn't invite you to a party. Yeah, it stings when somebody breaks up with you. But if you love and respect yourself, the way that somebody else treats you doesn't change how you treat you. This is so foundational. That's exactly what the high five habit is about. Why do I keep starting new plans to improve weight and lose weight when it only makes me feel punished and like I failed? Well, the reason why you feel punished and like you fail isn't because you're trying to lose weight. The reason why you feel punished and like you failed is because for years or decades, you have a habit that you don't realize. And the habit is a habit of self-rejection. This is so fundamental. I'm so happy we're talking about this. So every morning in the bathroom mirror right now, everybody, unless you're practicing the high five habit, you have a habit in place that is so ugly and destructive, and you're probably not even aware of how casual it is. Every morning when you look in the mirror, you either don't look at yourself, which if you can't even look at yourself in the mirror, that is a habit of rejecting self. If you don't look at yourself in the mirror, or you can't, that is a habit of rejecting yourself. If you're able to look at yourself, I guarantee you, unless you're practicing the high five habit in the mirror, you have a habit of focusing on what you don't like or what you think needs to be fixed. When you do that, you are rejecting yourself as you are. This habit of self-rejection every morning in the mirror is so subconscious. It is so powerful that it now becomes your default all day long. This is why you literally have something to say at work and your mind goes, you shouldn't say it. That's self-rejection. This is why you realize that you have a boundary. No, I don't want you to borrow my stuff, but you don't say it. That's self-rejection. This is why you have a commitment to get healthy, but halfway through the day, you've had a bad day, you're feeling low, and you're like, screw it. I'm not going to eat the salad. I'm having the cake. That's self-rejection because you're breaking a promise you made to yourself. And this all begins every morning with how you treat yourself in the bathroom mirror. Do you reject yourself where you are? Or are you raising your hand in acceptance, in seeing, in celebration, and in partnership? You're only going to do one or two things. You're either going to accept yourself with the high five habit, and over time you'll learn to love yourself and support yourself, or you're going to reject yourself by not looking in the mirror or looking in the mirror and picking yourself apart. It all begins here. And the good news is, based on our research, I'm certain that when you practice the high five habit and the other tools in this book, and you break the habit of self-rejection every morning in the mirror, when you step out into the world every morning, feeling and demonstrating that you accept yourself, that you cheer for yourself, that you love yourself, you then carry that belief into every interaction. It begins with you and your relationship with yourself. The other question we got is from Spencer. This is really good, and this is from yesterday's reading. Mel, how do you teach your kids that love is unconditional and not transactional? What Spencer's referring to is super important. Every human being gets the message from their parents that in order to be liked or loved, you must comply with rules. You got to wear your hair a certain way. You got to have a certain major. You got to play a certain sport. And parents do this to their kids because it's the easiest way to get them to comply. You know, if you're a stressed out parent and you need your kids to like do stuff, it's hard to slow down and be present. And so instead we're like, cut your hair, lose the bed, play the sports. And so you start to get the message as a kid that if I do what you say, then you'll love me, that love is transactional. And so Spencer, it's a great question. How do we teach our kids that love is unconditional? It's not transactional. First, you need to understand as a parent that when you hold out liking your kid or loving your kid as the punishment or the reward for them to do something, you're teaching them that love is transactional. You are holding out your emotional support and your approval and acceptance in order to get them to comply. So stop fucking doing it. That's number one. How do you stop doing it as a parent? Well, I'm going to give you 4 things that you can do to model that you love and support your child unconditionally while still parenting. Because as a parent, you can't just like take the guardrails off and let your kids run wild. That would be completely reckless and irresponsible. What you have to learn how to do is to be tough, to have your kids understand that there are rules that they need to follow, but don't use your love or your acceptance as the weight for complying or the penalty for complying, okay? The reward for complying or the penalty for complying. So here's 4 things that you can do. And I'm going to give you one caveat beforehand. This applies for the generic parenting stuff. Whenever you're dealing with a situation that is dangerous, deadly, or destructive, dangerous, deadly, or destructive, you step your ass in and you be the parent, period. Because you need to protect your children. And you step in situations that are dangerous, destructive, or deadly. Because protecting them in those situations and being the parent and taking control is what communicates love and support in those situations. But in all the other just million of scenarios that you're going to find yourself in, these are the 4 rules that allow you to parent without penalizing your kids. Well, let me say this a different way. These are the 4 things that you need to do in order to parent in a way that allows a kid to be seen, heard, and accepted, and also allows them to learn and grow, which is what you want them to do. Ultimately, your kids are supposed to leave. They're supposed to grow up. They're supposed to go on and build a life of their own. That's the whole point, to raise them so they can leave and be successful on their own. So the 4 things I'm going to teach you allow you to satisfy your kids' 3 emotional needs of being seen, heard, and loved, and still parent them. Number 1, listen, listen, listen. Don't do as much talking. Start listening. There is one sentence that fundamentally changed the way that I parent, and it communicates that I love you unconditionally. And that is, whenever my kids come to me with a problem, I always say, do you want me to listen or would you like advice? When you start giving advice and jumping in too fast, what happens is your kids don't feel validated or heard by you. When I ask my kids, do you want me to listen or just give advice? 90% of the time they say, I just want you to listen. And that's a wonderful thing because they are gaining the self-awareness that they need somebody to listen to them. And you just saying, do you want me to listen or do you want me to give you advice? It allows you to let them just unload on you. And oftentimes, if you jump in and give advice too quickly, what happens is they start to feel like you don't hear them, and they start to feel like they need to follow your advice, or you're not going to like, love, or approve of them. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, when they come with you with a problem, even if they say, I'd love your advice, don't jump in and give them advice. Ask questions. Because what you want to do is you want to teach your kids how to think critically through situations and how to think through what the consequences of what they might do are going to be. Because that's how you learn to do it as an independent adult, right? Like ultimately, you're not going to make all the decisions for them. So you want to teach them how to think through. Well, what do you think you should do? What do you think your friend would react? Or how do you think your friend would react if you did that thing? What are 3 things, 3 different options? You're right. You could text, you could email, you could make a phone call. Which do you think would be more effective? So don't even jump in with the advice. Ask a lot of questions. That teaches your child how to think through confronting situations. It makes them feel seen. It makes them feel supported, and it makes them feel loved by you. And then when they pick ultimately which thing they're going to do, just say, I think that's a great idea, and know that I'm here to support you. If your kids say, well, what do you think I should do? You should say, well, here's what I think I would do in that situation, but I'm not in that situation. So what do you think you should do? Always put it back on them. The third thing is, this is the golden rule. No matter what they say to you, this is really hard for me, by the way. Affirm what they're feeling. Affirm what they're feeling. Their roommate takes their favorite t-shirt. Don't go, well, you got 15 others. What's the big deal? that makes your kid feel invisible. It makes them feel misunderstood. Say, well, that's terrible. I'm sorry that happened to you. If they're talking about how they're scared to go to school or scared to their first day of work, or they're worried about going to this thing tonight, or they don't think they look good, or whatever it is that they're feeling, affirm what they're feeling. Super important, because if you don't affirm what they're feeling, what you're teaching them is, oh, well, my mom or dad doesn't understand, so I'm not even going to tell them. And so they start to learn that you don't like them, you don't understand them, so they're just not going to share that stuff with you. They feel like they're not seen. You're training them not to talk about how they're feeling because you're invalidating what they're feeling. Whew. And finally, this is a big one too. Always compliment attributes and qualities, values, and character, not how your kid looks. Not the fact that they're an amazing baseball player. Always affirm the characteristics, the values-driven qualities. You're loyal, you're hardworking. I see you trying your best. That is what's going to build up this sense of being affirmed as a unique individual, is you hammering the qualities, characteristics, and values that you see them expressing. If you are somebody who focuses on appearance or performance, you're training your kid that being loved and appreciated is about how you look and about what you do. When you affirm qualities or value-driven behaviors, you are affirming that you like, love, and appreciate your child for who they are. Big difference. Why has it been tough? You really love her. You're getting on a plane and you're going to go see her.
Yeah, I love her a bunch.
Okay.
So, I guess I'm kind of coming to the realization that I haven't been hearing her properly, connecting with her on the level that I should be. And now trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago, we've been having counseling. And,
that's good. My husband and I go to counseling.
It helps. She was doing it before, and then it kind of became the group, and then now I kind of see a little bit on my own. So I'm recognizing these things, but I also know like a couple of months ago in counseling, she admitted on her last tour that she had emotionally connected with somebody else. So obviously that put a big fire under my ass.
Yeah.
And supposedly
it's scary.
Supposedly I handled it really well, so she's wanting to, do all this. She's worked a lot on herself for kind of getting to the point where she's at.
Yeah.
She's got a spot on the bookshelf that's 12, 15 composition books deep of just thoughts ever since she was back, I think she said, to like 12.
Amazing.
So, because of some things that happened to her before that age of being taken advantage of.
This is Spirit Flight 280 services to Pittsburgh at 817. This is serving as a final boarding card. The doors are closing in about 3 minutes, and they will not
doing this, you realize how much you need to work on yourself.
It's scary. And then a lot of regrets come up, and a lot of things you wish you could do over, and then you start to realize there's shit from your past that really messed with you, that you shoved down, that happened when you were a kid. This is, I think, the cycle that we all hit in adulthood. And here's the amazing opportunity. You not only have an amazing opportunity to change the person that you are and to change the relationship that you have with your life, but you have an amazing opportunity to change the relationship you have with yourself. Because your thoughts, your feelings, they actually matter too. And you can't get...
I've been neglected.
Yes. See, relationships are amplifiers. You go into a relationship and you're not right with yourself, that relationship just magnifies what's missing. What did you just get from that?
I like that. Well, it's going to expose those demons more.
Yeah, and here's the thing that most men, at least in a traditional gender sense, don't understand. That it takes tremendous strength to be vulnerable. It takes tremendous strength to talk about the shit that's bothering you.
Yeah.
It takes tremendous strength to admit that you're wrong and to be scared. And that's actually what makes you connect more deeply to your partner. My husband of 25 years failed miserably in the restaurant business. Nearly bankrupted us. Lost it all. When he left the business, he was an alcoholic and completely lost and demoralized. And I did not know until recently, because it was through these rock bottom moments that my career took off. I invented this little thing called the 5-second rule that I used to get out of bed when the anxiety was so crushing. The only thing that would help me escape it was drinking myself into oblivion to numb it all out. And I started using this little brain hack to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shut down the noise in my brain and launch myself forward through the fear, through the pain, through all of it. And my whole life turned around. Chris's life turned around. But I did not know until recently, when we've been in couples therapy, that the man has, for the last 8 years, just been beating the hell out of himself because he feels like he failed. He feels like he wasn't there for me. He feels like he didn't do his job providing. Yeah. And then when your spouse starts to get successful and they start to find themselves, it gets very confronting. And so what I want to tell you is that the opportunity to connect with her is through being open and through being vulnerable. Like, go toward that shit. I'm proud of you.
I've been doing it, as you see.
I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. And you got to learn how to love yourself, regardless of what happened, regardless of what you did or didn't do, regardless of all that. You got to learn how to look in the mirror and see a man who is worth rooting for and who is worthy of love. It is not too late to change this. It is not too late to change your life. It's not too late to change your marriage. But it's an inside-out job. You start to show yourself some kindness and some love. And you start sharing more of the stuff that's coming up for you. And that is the path that's going to actually heal you, and it's going to
stop.
Yes.
Yeah. So to speak. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just need my mojo back. I think that's what she met in me. I had a nice swagger and everything, but it's gotten diluted or
by life.
I think so. Maybe my own just being stagnant. And
that's it.
Accepting instead of keep pushing.
You know, my good friend Joel Marin, who you should follow, just sent me a freaking thing that he wrote today. Oh my God, Joel! Praise you, Joel. Joel, I cannot believe this. Joel Marin, I'll give you his name. He literally wrote me this whole thing that he wrote today that you need to hear. Wait till I'm going to find out. Marion. He wrote me this whole thing about the fact that when we are born, we have incredible potential, but so few of us realize what we're capable of. And he uses this analogy. This is in your DNA. You were created to be a Lamborghini in life. You have literally everything inside you to be able to perform like that Lambo. You're manufactured that way. That engine, 729 horsepower engine is in there, that insane torque. You have unbelievable intrinsic ability to go from 0 to 65 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. But for most of us, we never experience close to those numbers that we are created to perform at. And so he tells a story about how he was test driving one, but the neighborhood he's in has like 35 mile per hour speed limit.
Okay.
He ended up not buying it because he never experienced the potential.
Right.
What you're talking about is you're talking about the fact that you actually know there is that inside of you. And when you lose your capacity that you were built in, and you stop growing, and you stop stretching yourself, and you stop pushing yourself forward and learning new stuff and expressing yourself, something inside you starts to feel like it's dying.
Yeah.
And so I'm
stalling
telling you,
out that engine.
yes, it's still there. And the reason why it's still there is because you're missing. And you can only miss something you know.
Okay.
So I think Joel sent me that for a reason. In times of my life when I've felt lost or stagnant, I say I feel like a racehorse tied to a pony ride at a kid's birthday party. Like I am built to fucking run.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I feel like just tied down like that.
Yeah.
And so there is something inside you that you've been holding back. What do you think it is?
Not really sure.
Well, I would
Not
take
sure
on a
if
challenge.
Not sure if it's a passion that I've ever tapped into or something that I've missed since, earlier years.
Who knows? I think you should take on a challenge. I think you should take on climbing some mountain or some kind of race or some like fitness thing, something that's a little out of your comfort zone to give you something to push you. It doesn't have to be the perfect thing. Just something that you're up to is enough.
Yeah.
But I want to acknowledge you for the fact that you recognize that there's an issue and you're taking the steps to go make the effort. If you're getting on a plane, you're flying to surprise your wife.
Not only that, but I deal with motion sickness, vertigo, and
Awesome.
and I don't drive well at night. So I've got the bands on.
Great, they work.
I took my motion sickness pills.
I love that. I give you a high five for that. That's fantastic.
We're doing what we can.
You're
and
doing it. Then does she know you? She doesn't know you're coming.
She does now.
Oh, good.
She didn't a couple days ago, but then we were trying to do the pregnancy reveal to some of the family because we just found out last week.
Congratulations!
So she was all like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. You're there, I'm here, and I want to video chat my family and be able to like tell them because she's up where some of the family is and she was seeing someone were coming to visit. So I told her, I'll tell you what, well, I'm actually coming up there. So she was pretty surprised, but
That's awesome. You're going to be an awesome dad. You want to know who the best dads are?
Yeah.
The ones who are actually right with themselves.
That's true.
The ones who are able to talk about their emotions. The ones who are able to be human.
This is my second child. This is her first, but I told them, my son's almost 23.
That's amazing.
So to start over is it's been a lot of emotion.
You're not going to start over. You actually are building upon.
Okay. And my son's been great. He's guys would be super impressed with how good my son is. He hasn't seen his mom since he was 6 years old, so I kind of raised him on that. I mean, there's people in and out of the life, but yeah.
You got a moment in your life to make yourself really proud of yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And if I were a betting woman, some days I am, depends how much liquor I get, I'd place my bet on it.
That's what I'd like. I want that more than anything.
Don't wish for it, don't want it.
And my wife deserves it.
Do the work. No, hold on.
What? Go ahead.
You deserve it.
I deserve it. Okay.
Give yourself what you're seeking from other people. Seek redemption and forgiveness because you deserve it from yourself. And in my book, forgiveness means that you have stopped wishing things could be different. Accept everything that's happened or didn't happen as a lesson. And as long as you hold on to that shit from the past, you're actually still there.
Yeah. Okay.
What'd you get out of this?
I got a little more resiliency, a little pick me up, and I'm glad I came and talked to you very much and took the time. I wasn't sure if I was imposing because I didn't know if it was more like a female thing, but I have plenty of emotion that I'm pretty open with. Sometimes too open, maybe. I don't
think so. I'm also going to introduce you to my husband. So he created a men's group a men's retreat called Soul Degree, where he takes guys out into the woods for 5 days to actually have these kinds of conversations. And he's had guys from 22 to 60 plus, multiple tours of duty, professional athletes, regular, just everyday folks like all of us. And it's remarkable. And what he also does, because he only does these a couple times a year, is he also has calls every month where it's guys get on and he leads a meditation, and then there's a topic that y'all discuss, and it's really freaking cool. And so I will make sure that you have his information, and I will get both of your email addresses, and I will have my team email you a credit so you can listen to one of my books on Audible.
That's cool. I've been doing a lot more trying to listen to stuff. And you know, you just don't know what direction to go, because some stuff is just, some people just want to make some money on you, and you know, there's so much out there. You just want to find the right path.
Yeah.
As best as possible.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
thank you.
You deeply impacted me today.
Okay, what happened?
Well, the boundaries thing, and I loved that. I feel like I don't have very good boundaries, but then I heard you just say that you were a victim of sexual abuse, which I also am, and I think that part that you were saying to put your hand on your chest, I think my vagus nerve is broken because it made me more anxious.
It's not broken. Push harder and repeat it over and over and over and over and over again, and you will slowly feel yourself come back into your body. So when you have an anxiety response, do you leave your body, or what happens to you?
I shut down.
Okay.
Bed covers, like I don't want to do things, or sometimes I go over the top and exhaust myself.
Okay. So what I want you to try, because I don't actually want you to stay in bed. I think staying in bed is a terrible thing to do, and here's why. When you stay in bed, and are you talking about in the morning, like you wake up and just want to stay in bed? Mm-hmm. So there's a reason why we feel waves of anxiety and stress in the morning. Number one, when you wake up, your cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, are typically pretty high. Mm-hmm. And so that triggers a kind of dump in terms of your emotional state. The second thing is that if you are waking up and you're not excited about your life, or there's chaos going on, you're going to feel this sense of anticipatory dread. So lying there makes the dread feel worse. Third thing, staring at the ceiling, thinking about your problems, does not solve them. Fourth thing, rolling over and trying to go back to sleep does not change what feels like a nightmare in your life, right? And so what will change it is if you throw off the sheets, put your feet in the ground, and get up, because once you get up, you can get going, and once you get going, you can keep going. What I want you to add to this, though, is the high five in the mirror and the high five to your heart, because before you start your day in a state where you're spiraling, I want you to come back into your body and tell yourself over and over and over again, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, okay? If you can hear it, it's true. Why do you think when we did that exercise in the audience, you felt a wave of anxiety come?
Because I don't believe it's true.
Okay, that's exactly why you felt that. You felt that because you've been running so fast and so long, because you think as long as you're busy and you're running, nobody can catch you and hurt you. And so slowing down is terrifying. Okay, I had the exact same thing. In fact, it wasn't until this fucking pandemic that I couldn't go out that I really realized that I run to Target and Starbucks and go fill up the car because I wasn't okay being in my body and being still. I was so busy because if I was busy, then I wasn't having to feel the shit I hadn't healed yet. And so when you put your hand on your heart and you started breathing and going, I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm loved, your body was like, oh, no, you aren't. We are running. We are going to Target. We got shit to do. We are not listening to this lady. And your body will fight it because you have trained yourself to run and move and be busy as a protection mechanism. Yeah. And what I'm here to tell you is you are okay. You are safe. And you are loved. And you can heal this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll
believe it eventually, you know.
Okay.
I'll believe it eventually.
Right now, I want you to say it. Say it. Okay, go ahead. Put your hands on your heart. Let's see you do it. You can keep taping.
Okay,
Smart cookie.
Because I will forget.
And I will put a little alarm in your phone. So go ahead. Put your hands on your heart. Here we go. Close your eyes. Press deeper. Press deeper. Okay, now you say it for yourself.
I'm the one I'm struggling.
Yes, you can. That's okay. Breathe in. Here we go. Breathe in. Blow it out. Say it.
I'm safe.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm safe.
I'm safe.
I'm loved.
I'm loved.
Breathe in again. That's great. Now say it again. I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm safe.
I'm safe. I'm loved.
Let's do it again. Breathe in. That's great. Really great deep breath. Blow it out. Say it again.
I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm loved.
Kind of weird, isn't it?
It's super weird.
What do you feel?
I feel it a little more.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Because there are moments when, there's all kinds of stuff going around you. And what you need to know is that no matter what's going around you, you always have you. And you can bring yourself back into your body. You can bring yourself back home. You can settle yourself in this moment. And if you can tune out the noise and come right back in here and feel yourself literally flip the switch and find some power, then you can take a deep breath and face whatever's coming. You don't have to run anymore.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm talking to myself too.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. So inspiring.
You're so
I want to be
inspired.
like you one day.
You are like me one day. You're running from your fears, you're anxious, you're doing your best, you're reminding yourself every day, you get triggered by shit. This is what my life looks like. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I am creating these tools doesn't mean I'm not using them every day.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you, Jenna?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
So here's the thing. When I think about the question, how are you really, or how am I really? Most of us don't want to answer it because we know if we're honest and the answer is I'm not okay, or I'm not happy, or I'm not good, that then we have to do something about it. It's like we have to confront that reality, and that's what will set you free, really. And so one of the things that I think it's wrong so often in this world with so much information is that we try to go so big so fast that all of a sudden when we crash, we say, why did I ever think I could do that? Who was I to think I could follow through? Who was I to think that I could start the business or lose the weight or get healthier or seek out the relationship? And what we're forgetting is that, like, if we can start to make the smallest progress, like progress that no one can see, progress that isn't Instagrammable, progress that just simply proves to ourselves that we are actually following through, that we are actually progressing and moving forward, that we are actually capable, it's like we're strengthened. And when we're strengthened, the confidence shows up. And when we're confident, we show up in a different way. And when we show up in a different way, we change. And when we change, everything happens. And so it's like we live in a world that literally wants everything to be pretty and we want it to be showcased. It's like, imagine if you and I were sitting in Vermont and I was like, hey, Mel, let's go grab some chairs and watch this tree grow. It would be so boring, right? Nobody would do it because on the outside, what we see, we're not seeing anything happening. But underneath the surface, those roots are strengthening and lengthening and growing and reaching and giving this growth the roots that it needs to be sustained. And so to me, it's like when we think about what are we going to do about it, we often try to go big. We go too big, and then we live in this shame cycle that we didn't follow through, that of course we weren't able to do it, when in reality, we need to make such tiny little actions. There's a quote in the book that talks from BJ Fogg where it's like, pick the most minuscule, tiny little steps to progress so that you can build up your belief in yourself. Because the way you show up to your battles is directly linked to the warrior you believe you are. And most people don't even feel like a warrior today. Most people don't even feel like they can show up to the battle. And so it's like, how do we build up our confidence through such infinitely small progress that no one else will see, but that we can feel? That's what I think is the difference.
You know, I've been working on something that I don't think anybody can see. I've started to notice after a couple years of therapy and all these big changes that I put into place, and I wasn't even aware of it. And heck, this is even like with the high five habit that, you know, I started to break through the self-criticism, and the high five habit profoundly changed how I see myself. But I still had a layer deeper, Jenna, a
Yeah.
dialogue that I think is generational in the women in my life, of being in conflict about what's going on and simultaneously feeling grief and regret. I've been really blown away and really sad by how much I've tortured myself because I have
Yes.
this habit of focusing on what's wrong and focusing on what I didn't do in the past. And I live
Yes.
there because the women in my life, my grandmothers, my mom, like, that's their kind of negative mental experience. And so I, every day, and none of you can see this, I catch myself going there.
Yeah.
I catch myself slowly torturing myself that where I am isn't the right place, that what I'm doing isn't the right thing, that, and it is robbing me of what you said, which is creating fat minutes where you can feel the full 60 seconds and be present to it. And so this is something, everybody, that I am working on every single day that nobody can see. It's sort of like when you're doing sit-ups for the first time, you're not going to see any change in the mirror for probably 8 weeks. And I think the same is true for me. And the incremental stuff that I'm doing, the what are you going to do about it? How are you really? Because the truth is, how are you really is how am I really is I'm doing all this stuff, but in here, I'm like torturing myself because of old mental habits. And I am committed to catching it and noticing it. And then all I do to break that apart, Jenna, is I try to have what you call a fat minute. I try to just go, where am I?
Yeah. Yes. It's all about awareness. What's so crazy is that for so long, I totally believed that I could never meditate. I was like, my brain doesn't work that way. I can't slow it down. I can't not think of anything. Like, I thought that meditating was like emptying your mind, when in reality, it's just having an awareness for your thoughts. And when I shifted it, I am like obsessed with meditation. Like, before I went on the Today Show, I freaking meditated. I was like, who am I? Like, I don't even understand, but it's wild how much of our lives we go through without noticing, whether it's the people, the feelings, how we're really, our thoughts, our narratives, the things that we're beating ourselves up for. We go through and we just don't even notice. We don't even feel it. Like, there's a chapter in my book about feeling your feelings. Like, it's not about just letting happiness be the destination in our life. It's moving through life with this richness of feeling our feelings. Our feelings are communicating things to us. And so it's all about awareness. And it's like, when you start to pay attention, man, your life becomes more vibrant. And that richness of the vibrancy, even the highs and the lows, it makes you feel your life. It makes you awake to it in a totally different way. I love that.
I want to just say one thing.
Do you need to pick somebody up from the airport? I'm slightly concerned here.
Yeah, I do. It's okay. She'll just start anxiety calling. And she started calling in. She's calling Chris. She asked me to trigger her. It's all good. We're going to go get her. Blah, blah, blah. And in the middle of the panic attack, by the way, the ember is flaming because she's like, oh, and can we stop at Java Juice and get coffee? I'm like, oh,
Deal.
okay. So here's one thing I want to say about that. Feeling your feelings can be terrifying for those of us like me who have spent a lifetime keeping themselves busy or drunk at night. Not drunk, but, buzzed, so that I didn't have to feel. Like, I think one of the reasons why when I really figured out sort of what I was passionate about, writing, coaching, speaking, that I threw myself into it is because when I was focused on something, blaming my feelings and my mind wasn't spinning. And so I've been doing everything and how are you really? And the slowing down, the getting back into my life, the being honest with myself about how the busyness was really not making me happy. And I will tell you guys that when you start to slow down and you start to truly feel what's there that you've been numbing or running away from or like arguing against, that bridge between the old you and the transition to truly like that ember inside you of how you want to feel in your life, which is in it and present to it. Crossing that bridge can be terrifying, but you can do it. And so it goes back to what we started in the very beginning. There is an ember that's burning inside you, even if you feel like a burnt toast piece of grist pile of ashes.
Yeah.
That I hope that this conversation has fanned so that you feel it burning a little bit of yearning. The book is How Are You Really? My friend is Jenna. You should follow her. You should go get that book. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.